Okay, imagine this. You wake up one day, check your favorite independent YouTube creator, someone who built their channel from nothing, and suddenly there's talk that they might need to join a Hollywood union just to keep posting videos. Sounds pretty wild, right? But, well, kind of what's on the table now.
Yeah, it's not just some far-off hypothetical. It's actually a major development happening right now. Those lines between traditional Hollywood and digital creators, they're blurring incredibly fast. And the big player, they're noticing.
So today, that's what we're diving into. This whole situation where Hollywood unions, we're talking WGA, SAG-AFTRA mainly, are actively looking to, well, expand right into YouTube and the wider creator economy.
And our goal here really is to unpack why. Why now? What's really driving this push? And maybe most importantly, what could this actually mean for creators, maybe creators like you listening? We've been digging through some really interesting insights, a YouTube discussion, a big report from the Hollywood Reporter, trying to get you the full picture. It's complex, but definitely relevant.
Okay, so to really get why Hollywood is suddenly so focused on YouTube, we need to kind of set the scene first. Things aren't exactly rosy in traditional Hollywood right now. It's going through some pretty big shifts.
Right. The context of those big strikes recently is key. One source we look at actually said Hollywood has never recovered.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a strong statement, but it definitely left a lasting impact. The whole landscape feels different.
Yeah, and it points to this bigger trend, doesn't it? You hear about more work getting outsourced, AI coming in faster, shows getting canceled because they just cost too much. It feels like the traditional players are really feeling squeezed.
And there are numbers. Pretty stark ones, actually. The WGA West. They reported, I think, a 24% drop in members reporting any earnings in 2024 compared to just 2022. And even more dramatic, a 42% fall in TV writing jobs last season. 42%.
Wow. Okay. Those numbers really paint a picture. So from the union side, this isn't just like a dip. It's maybe an existential thing for their old model. They're losing that negotiating pull. And one source put it really bluntly, saying they need new pay pigs to pay dues and to get cuts of their income. It really does sound like they're scrambling a bit.
It does. I mean, if that traditional Hollywood work is drying up so fast, it begs the question, right? Where do they look for new money, new members?
Yeah.
And that leads us, straight to the quote unquote new frontier, YouTube, the whole creator economy.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting because YouTube isn't just, cat videos anymore. The Hollywood Reporter piece calls it the biggest TV platform right now. It's become so central to, entertainment generally. And the unions, clearly, they want in.
And it's fascinating how wide they're thinking. It's not just film and TV in the old sense. They're looking at different verticals.
Yeah.
Like influencer companies, podcasts, even video games. It just shows how much content creation has exploded beyond those old boundaries.
And, for some unions, this isn't totally brand. SAG-AFTRA, they actually already have an influencer agreement. There are criteria like how much income you make from it if it's kind of full-time. And the WGA East, the New York branch, they've apparently been unionizing podcasts, nonfiction, TV, digital news since 2011. So the sources say WGA West is now sort of playing catch up.
That's a really good point. And it connects to what we're seeing in the WGA West elections. You've got candidates openly talking about organizing the creator economy. Adam Conover, he's on the board now, apparently. His whole candidate statement was almost entirely about this, focusing on creators. And he even called YouTube the future of television. That's a statement.
Okay, so we've got the why Hollywood feeling the pinch and the where YouTube and beyond. But the big question is how. How do they plan to get into an industry that's, built on independence? And maybe even more critical, how are the creators themselves reacting? Because the sources we looked at have some strong feelings.
Well, from the union side, the goal seems clear. Get a cut. That's the phrase used. A cut of those big multi-million-dollar deals you hear about in the creator world. Definitely financial motive, trying to replace that shrinking traditional income.
And then you flip it, and some creators quoted in the sources, they're using some pretty strong language. One described Hollywood unions operating like a mafia, the idea that you have to be in the union or you can't do things. And the worry is they want to bring that same lockdown to YouTube. Like, if you're not in the union, you can't be on YouTube. That's a pretty intense vision of control, isn't it?
It really is. And it raises questions about their tactics. The fear, as laid out in the source, is this kind of foot in the door strategy. Maybe they start by offering help. We can help you get insurance, or we'll support creators who want to join. But then once they get enough people signed up,
then it flips. Well, now you have to go through us. You need our permission.
Exactly. That's the concern outlined. Whether it plays out like that, who knows? But the fear is there.
And we saw some specific examples, some controversies that really highlight this tension, right? Like the report that SAG-AFTRA threatened to ban creators from ever joining if they even talked about Hollywood stuff during. That didn't go.
No, definitely caused some friction. And then there was the whole James Earl Jones thing. His family selling his voice for AI use. The reported union anger, according to one source, was mainly because they didn't get a cut. It really does underscore that focus on controlling new tech and making sure they get a piece of any new money stream.
And it gets even more complicated, doesn't it? Like that situation with Park Chan-wook and Don McKellar, they got expelled from the WGA. The union said they worked on the sympathizer during the strike. But the sources we saw claim the scripts were done before. That editing isn't writing.
Right, but the WGA's stance was apparently even just cutting down a scene for time counts as forbidden work during. Very strict.
And the kind of ironic twist, Park reportedly said the expulsion had no impact whatsoever on his work anyway.
Yeah, complex. But what's really fascinating is seeing how strongly the creative viewpoint contrasts with all. You hear many creators saying unionization just defeats the point of the creator space, that maybe they don't need unions like we used to. It's a fundamental clash of views.
That makes sense, though, when you hear their arguments. Like non-scripted stuff being more authentic or maybe more nimble, lower overhead. It lets them build their own audiences directly without needing a big studio structure.
Precise. And that independent leads straight into worries about cost. The concern is that union rules would make expenses go through the friggin' roof.
Yeah.
Especially for smaller independent shows, like maybe those crime podcasts that do really well. They thrive on being. Unionization could potentially kill that model for some.
And maybe the most direct quote summing up that creator pushback was, they only control you if you all let. It's a pretty clear call for maintaining independence, pushing back against.
So, yeah, if we pull it all together, what you have is this established Hollywood system, the unions. They're facing real economic headwinds, big industry changes, and they're now looking directly at this booming, often very independent creator world, especially on YouTube. And the goal, as described in what we read, is basically to unionize it, bring it into their structure, exert some control.
Exactly. It's like old power meeting new independence, a real clash. And as those lines keep blurring between, a Netflix show and a high-production YouTube series, what does this actually mean for the future, for that balance between individual freedom for creators and maybe the collective power of unions? What really stands out to you, listening to all this, as the biggest potential impact here? It's something to think about.